From what I have seen so far, Secretary Kennedy is not making these drugs illegal. Anyone is free to get these drugs for themselves or for their children if they so desire. They just will not be mandatory. However, for a liberal, something not being mandatory is the exact same thing as it being banned. Besides, all of the people who take these drugs are protected from everyone else. That is what the Biden administration told us throughout the pandemic. There are two major problems with Mr. Anderson's cartoon. The first is ignorance of Jesus' personality. He called people sons of the devil, a politician a fox, and taught more about hell and damnation for sinners than anything else. Combine this with the fact that neither he nor Trump said anything from the second speech bubble. The second is a false comparison fallacy. There is not one person in the MAGA movement who treats President Trump like Jesus. We treat Jesus like Jesus. I mentioned this problem when President Trump first ran for office, and so I guess it still bears repeating. Democrats and Republicans spent the better part of the last century concentrating power into the executive branch. Then, when Donald Trump came around, all of a sudden they were scared of executive overreach. I, too, am scared of too much government power. However, I need to point out the hypocrisy in this. Likewise, you could cut this hypocrisy with a knife. Democrats not only burned down cities, threatened multiple Republicans, killed or attempted to kill two major ones, and killed a CEO, all while thinking it would somehow solve their problems. Now Ms. Sorensen has imagined the straw man up instead of addressing the psychotic nature of her own party. Well, that should be easy to tell. People do not go back to the fishing boat to save the tackle boxes. Also, there is no drone footage of them loading drugs. As such, these two are in the clear. Question: which one of them broke in, and which one is trying to enter legally? This person broke in and is getting sent home. This person is trying to enter legally and is being welcomed. America is a nation of laws, and no one is above the law. Not one of President Trump's drone strikes were called war crimes by the fake news, despite the countless civilian deaths in another country, as opposed to targeted strikes on terrorists in international waters. There is a big difference between the two. I condemned the strikes then, while celebrating these strikes now, for that very reason. Mr. Deering must have rocks in his head. At no point did RFK or anyone else in this administration forbid Tylenol or institute any ban on this drug. They just echoed what Tylenol already said in that they did not recommend using any of their products while pregnant. As for vaccines, let us assume that this anachronism is available in this time period. And since Scrooge is a moneylender, he has nothing to do with vaccines. And RFK did not ban them either. Besides, if Tiny Tim is already dying, a vaccine at this point will do no good. Mr. Jones is just as deluded as Mr. Deering. The money for this ballroom, unlike all previous administrations, is not coming from taxes. President Trump is putting on an addition that he might not even see to completion, just for the use of future administrations, all from private donors. As such, Mr. Jones is making a completely foolish comparison. You are right, to an extent, Winslow. However, it has been established that Prickly City exists near a southwest desert. Therefore, you probably live in a red state. As such, there is more freedom of religion, and a lot fewer misotheists getting in the way. Well, inflation is down to below Biden levels. Gas is below $3 a gallon just about everywhere except California, and we had record Black Friday sales. Put this together, and I think that President Trump is doing a wonderful job.